As a community involvement program, KTVT presents Los Tiempos. Each week, Los Tiempos will endeavor to seek out and present timely accomplishments in our Spanish-speaking community. And now your host of Los Tiempos, Pablo Calderón.
Bienvenidos a Los Tiempos. Es un gran gozo tener hoy con nosotros un amigo, el señor Steve Deleon. Mr. Deleon has been on this program with us in the past, talking about the Texas Alliance for Minority Engineers. It's been a love of his for some time. Mr. Deleon is an engineer with General Dynamics. He has also been a loaned executive from them to the Fort Worth Independent School District in their Adopt a School program. And I know even when he was with the Adopt a School program, his love for engineering came out. This Texas Alliance for Minority Engineers got started when, Steve, and for what purpose?
It started in 1973. It was started as a concern that we had that we did not have our representation as far as engineers concerned in the minority community. It was started by General Electric grant that first piloted the program in Austin, Texas. The TAME originally was composed of educators, school district officials, company representatives, and general public in general. Our first objective in TAME was to have a symposium where we can raise those concerns. Now we're 16 chapters all over the state of Texas, in every major city in Texas.
Can I understand that when the Texas Alliance for Minority Engineers, TAME, began in 1973, you were a student at that time, is that right, in Austin?
Yes, I was. I was about ready to complete my engineering degree in Austin.
But then I guess when I first met you, you must have just graduated and come here about 10, 11 years to go to Fort Worth, is that right?
That is right, that is right.
Okay. Tell us some of the activities that different chapters have been involved in the past, and then we'll talk about some of the current projects you have.
Most of the activities that the chapters carry are probably threefold. One, they have a scholarship effort. That's to where they raise money in the community to send qualified students to engineering school. The other effort is to use the resources from industry to help the local school districts. And the third one would probably is to recognize individuals like in the math and science teachers that are doing outstanding jobs in the school districts and recognize them every year.
Okay. Those then are the types of activities all chapters have been and are, I guess, to some level are still involved in, just trying to surface the importance of engineering and just sharing that information with schools where there are a lot of minorities.
Right, right. But since House Bill 72 has a lot of limitations as far as the activities of the students and the companies, we now have geared ourselves in a totally different direction. Mm-hmm. First of all, we have a project right now that is, truth of the matter, is very supplementing the school system. What we have is individuals, or let's say students, in the math and science arena. They're very interested in math and science, but they actually don't find the application of that. And it's very important that they know the application simply because it'll be a lot easier to learn if you know how to apply it. For instance, let me give you a good example. And if you're studying fractions, let's say your child is studying fractions in school. Well, if you can relate that to a bicycle or a 10-speed bike, he can relate to a 10-speed bike. So therefore, he knows what fractions are used for. And then thereby he learns the theory of fractions because he knows where he's going to apply it. That's really, it's a very simple theory, and it's not new. As a matter of fact, the Sloan Foundation 11 years ago granted Stoney Institute a grant as to where they developed some modules. We locally here, we're doing our own modules. The Corps of Engineers, every summer, we combine the Corps of Engineers with some math and science teachers to develop the modules. The teachers applying the theory, the engineers applying the application of those.
So it's putting within the curriculum practical, everyday applications of math.
Exactly right.
So the kids can kind of tune in and don't see it as something pie-in-the-sky theoretical proposition.
Right.
Okay. What are some of the, or go ahead, Steve.
Some of the other activities that we have is instead of helping the student directly, we need to help the teacher themselves. And by what we call, we devise a symposium every year as to where we bring them in a whole day. They, in turn, hear lectures from university professors, engineers, and in application theory, what we call application theory. They take back that application theory into the classroom and thereby explain to the students, why they're learning some of this math and why they're learning some of this science. And I think generally, if we are supposed to make progress in the math and science field, I think that's the approach we're going to have to take.
Okay. You're talking about progress. What kind of numbers are we talking about in terms of minorities participating within engineering fields?
In 1973, we had approximately 0.05, not even a 0.1 percentage of the minorities in engineering in the state of Texas. Right now, we have made some tremendous progress. We've still got a long ways to go, but we now have something in the neighborhood of 1%. Our goal, really, for the mountain is to have it at least 5%. Nationally, the goals are about 8 to 9% of the workforce. Minority workforce should be in the engineering field. Mm-hmm. There's resources that have never been tapped. Those are some resources that have never been tapped at all.
Okay. The idea of getting to students presents a problem, it seems to me, of how soon do you get to them in order for them to be able to get into the area of engineering, because you just can't make up your mind when you're a freshman in college, perhaps.
Right.
Because they'll ask you, what courses have you taken before, right?
Well, Pablo, when we first started TAME, we were actually concentrated in the high school, simply because of the limited resources that we had, the limited monies that we had. Since then, TAME has now grown into the junior high and elementary level, simply because if you are going to be effective with the students as far as engineering is concerned, you have to start at that level. For instance, a child that wants to go into engineering school must start at the 7th grade with algebra, and then progress to the calculus, advanced physics type of courses by the time he's in high school. Those are minimum requirements to go into engineering school nowadays.
Okay, so that it becomes really necessary to interest them in engineering early on. Otherwise, if you wait until they're a junior or senior in high school, it'll be too late.
It'll be too late, yeah. They won't have the required courses to actually go in, and they can't actually take the required course simply because of schedules and whatever. We have piloted a program here locally as far as the elementary level. We have computer science, and people are teaching computer science to individuals in the 5th and 4th grade, and using some type of advanced mathematics that we have. As a matter of fact, in some advanced mathematics, we're actually teaching the concept of algebra in the 4th and 5th grade, equations and type, and how they come in to resolve problems and whatever.
Mm-hmm. The continuing education offers, or you indicated a little while ago that one of the things you do is to offer symposiums and workshops for teachers, and that's really, in a sense, continuing education.
Exactly. Yeah.
I understand that there's another program that you have that when teachers are going off into a continuing education program for themselves, that somehow you get some of your folks involved in the schools.
Right. We have a critical shortage of math and science teachers in the 4th Independent School District. That's not unique to us. I think that problem is all over the state. We have the resources from industry that's available to the school system. So we decided that what we would do is start what we call a substitute teaching program. Also, another program that we have, and I'll explain a little bit about that in a minute. Also, we have another program that we call the Business Volunteer Teaching Program. Now, the Business Volunteer Teaching Program actually teach courses, advanced physics, advanced mathematics, in the school system. And what happens is the industry lends out the individual for, let's say, 2 hours per day for a whole school semester. And he actually teaches the course side by side with a qualified teacher and teach the math course or the science, advanced science courses that we have available in the school system.
Excellent. And the substitute teacher program is?
The substitute teacher program comes into play. We have every so often our teachers, our math and science teachers, have to go up for seminars in Austin and Houston for upgrade. In order for the children not to lose that valuable time that they are going for upgrade, we use industry people, and we plan this, say 2 or 3 months ahead of time, to actually be a substitute for them when they leave for the seminar. And they're actually covering the lesson plan that they have for that day. This are engineers and technical people that feel very comfortable in the math and science arena.
Because I know normally that substitute teachers are on rolls, rosters, and a principal, if they know they're going to have a person or two absent, they'll start calling that morning, a lot of times, figure out who in the world I'm going to get, and the person may not necessarily have skills
in the math and science arena.
And particularly if that's where the greatest deficiencies occur in trained personnel.
That is right. That is right. We think we will actually pilot a program here in 1 or 2 years where we'll have that kind of a system set up, as though we have a roster of people that are willing to participate. But I think what we're going to do is retired engineers, simply because if an individual is going to be, or let's say an engineer is going to be out of the plant, it takes some preparation for him to be out of plants, because he has his responsibilities at the plant. So I think we're going to pilot that program with the retired engineers pretty soon. I'm hoping that we do have it on the board, by the way, but it has not been activated.
Well, that would be a very interesting thing, because as our population moves up age-wise, and we have more and more productive individuals, you know, who are senior citizens, or people in the golden years, or whatever you want to call it. We'll be there in a few years, Steve. There's people who have talents, and they want to give it back to their communities. That'd be excellent.
It is exactly right. And we have canvassed some people that are willing to help us out on that project. And basically, what we are hearing from those individuals is, I have a lot to contribute. I might be 65 years old, but I have a lot to contribute. The other thing is that is very unique is that we have the wide spectrum of ages here. You know, the youngest, which we are molding their minds, versus the old ones that have been through there. There's a lot of communication that can be enhanced in there, and there's a lot of information that can be transmitted into the individuals. I think it's really an untapped source that we need to tap, really, from us.
Hopefully, and I think it will happen, the efforts of the Texas Alliance of Minority Engineers will be realized with additional minority students going into engineering fields, but also even those who don't go into engineering will have gotten a finer appreciation for what math and science can offer through its application. Steve Deleon, we thank you very much for being with us. Have a very nice weekend. Adios.
Your comments regarding today's program are considered very important. Please send your cards and letters to Los Tiempos, in care of KTVT, Post Office Box 2495, Fort Worth, Texas 76113.